back to week 2 of the Restorative Movement Training Podcast. Got Coach Taylor and Coach John back on with me today. How you guys doing?
After you, John.
All right.
What's up, you guys? Doing great, man. I'm doing great, you guys. Just another beautiful week. It's super hot as hell outside, so just doing what I can to stay fresh and cool.
Perfect. And Taylor, how about you, man? How you holding up today?
Chilling, my man. Chilling. To quote Coach John, beautiful day. Ready to answer some questions and drop some knowledge on this gorgeous, what is this, Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I think it's still Sunday. Can't keep track of the COVID time. That's for sure.
For real.
So before we get into today's topic, just want to take about 5 to 10 minutes, let you guys kind of discuss what you've personally been working on for your health and fitness. So Taylor, we'll go ahead and bounce that right back to you. What have you been working on adding in this previous week?
Yeah, man. So I've been, sticking with my my water jug routines, making the best I can out of gym closure during this time. Still working on just maintaining what I've been gaining when the gym was open for that brief time. So that's been going super well. I've also been incorporating more long distance running in my routine. Right now I go about Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays for 7-mile runs early morning. And then Sundays usually my 10-mile longer run. Yeah, just to build up that cardio fitness for what my goals are down the road. But yeah, man, just do my best what I can.
And are you going primarily like trail running, or are you going like more bike path oriented?
Yeah, so actually a little mixture of both. So Tuesday and Thursday is strictly just neighborhood running around my house, so road running. Sunday is 100% trail running, and then Friday can be a hybrid. Just depends what happens for the day. If I can sneak away for about 2 hours or so, I'll drive up to a local trail, do some trail running. If not, then I'll do road running around the neighborhood as well.
Perfect, man. Yeah, so for a lot of people getting started running, I know there's always tons of concerns about knee health and all of that sort of fun stuff. What is your philosophy as far as frequency for running on hard surfaces versus the trail running? And then do you have any shoe recommendations to help prevent people from accumulating those knee injuries?
Sure, man. Dang, dude, we can spend a whole podcast talking about running philosophy and whatnot. But the very, very basic is, for me, what I found that works best is the current frequency I'm doing. So about 2 to 3 days road running, and then 2 days on the trail. What it really comes down to about knee issues is your running form. So when I first got started, I went to the beach and I ran barefoot on the sand. And that actually helped me get my running form on point. So now when I do run with my shoes on, I'm able to be subconscious of my form, and that's helped me with alleviate those knee pains. And then, of course, and again, this can be a topic for a different day, but there's all sorts of stretches, strength training, stuff you can do to help strengthen your knees and your joints. And then that can also help avoid those pains as well. And then I believe you asked me about shoes. In regards to shoes, I really like a brand called Ultra. It's spelled Altra. The way the shoe is designed is right on the pinky toe. It curves out, so you have more of a flat foot, kind of like a barefoot feel to your shoe.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Okay.
100%. And then to me, that just feels more natural, as if I'm running barefoot. So that's probably my top recommendation for shoes.
Perfect. Yeah, I always definitely recommend getting some form of barefoot training in, especially when you're trying to improve your running technique, like you highlighted on. Just teaches you to avoid heel striking, because that's where you're going to accumulate a lot of injuries from. And if you're consistently heel striking in barefoot shoes, it's going to hurt really fast because you don't have all of that additional cushion to support you.
Bro, don't I know, man? Don't I know?
And John, I know you got some new equipment you're pretty stoked about. So
Yeah,
let's
man.
hear about that real quick.
Yeah, first of all, Taylor, you're running 2 7-milers and 1 10-miler. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Madman.
Yeah, you run for me, buddy. That's too much for me.
I got you, Fit Dad. I got you.
Perfect. Yeah, dude. So I'm pretty pumped. I just got my TRX rip trainer today. I'm pretty pumped about this. It's really difficult to do a lot of rotational and anti-rotational stuff. So I'm really excited to play with this. I've always wanted it. You can do a lot of cool, or I've been doing a lot of cool rotational drills and anti-rotational drills with the resistance band, so you can be creative. But I wanted something just kind of more precise. So I finally invested into a rip trainer. I've always wanted one. I just never got around to it. So I've been doing that. I just got this morning actually, but I've been, kind of looking into different patterns for my coaching clients one-on-one, and all of my online clients who have resistance bands. So I'm trying to create like great rotational and anti-rotational exercises for my clients. Another thing I've been working on, you guys, is getting creative with on the topic of running, but more of like condition drills that we could do. We all can
jump rope and skills.
Yeah, we can jump rope, we can go hiking. I'm all for that. But I've been playing around with a lot of kettlebell drills to kind of make it fun for my clients. Just different combinations. I mean, kettlebell, it's a great universal piece of equipment. You can do strength, power. That's where I typically lean towards with the kettlebell. But as of late, because of COVID and the gym closures, I've been coming up with more condition drills for my clients. So I've been kind of playing around with different combinations for myself, so I can implement that with my clients. Because it's not very fun to say, all right, let's go run a mile now. All right, here's another 200 meters. It's fun, it's challenging, but that can only go so far, right? So, and since you guys are on the topic of the knees, I'm trying to preserve the knees too. So with my clients, I think if you're just stationary and just doing condition drills with the kettlebell, it's just a lot. It's pretty fun. So those are the two things I've been doing as of late. I'm pretty excited. So pretty busy.
Oh man, that's what. So I actually started doing kettlebell conditioning as well too, and a program that I started experimenting with, it actually has you doing 10 sets of 20 kettlebell swings with about like 30 to 40 seconds of rest in between. So you're doing about 200 kettlebell swings per workout. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so that Dan John, that's not from Dan John. He has a 10K swing challenge. So it's 10K swings in a month. There's just a more of a prescription. Like, so what are you trying to accomplish? So again, that's a high volume, but you're pretty elite. You can take it. But for someone who struggles with just a hip hinge pattern or has low back pain, not a good idea. But again, I'm all for it though, to be honest. I have a client who got injured during taking a group class, and one of the exercises during the group class was to do 3 minutes of kettlebell swings. I'm like, are you effing kidding me? And her back was killing her. I'm like, no matter how elite you are, doing 3 minutes of swings is impossible. You know what I mean? And she wasn't even swinging a heavy kettlebell relative to her body size or body type, but nonetheless, man, I mean, you can't maintain that for that long. So going to answer your question, Wilbur, if you have the rest protocols dialed in, if you need to adjust and if you need to add another 5-10 seconds to your rest, as long as that doesn't compromise your hip hinge, you're golden. But the key is, can you properly execute a hip hinge, and can you be dynamic and do that kettlebell swing for that many repetitions? So I'm all for it, man. So.
That's for sure, man. And definitely with those 3 minutes of kettlebell swings, that's just lazy coaching right there. That's the equivalent of, hey, we're just going to do burpees at the end of the workout so that you can puke, I can feel better about myself, and then I'll see you next week type deal. I mean, that's just lazy coaching.
It's like, I'll tell you when to stop. Go.
I know 0 other exercises or rest breaks. So 3 minutes. How do you even decide on 3 minutes? I mean, that's
what I told. Yeah, like and I love what you said. That's legitimately the epitome of sloppy coaching. It's like, that's kind of random, 3 minutes. I mean, what happened to 30 seconds, 60 seconds, kind of the universal, like incremental, if you don't want to use repetitions as your marker, like 3 minutes though, like I should have been like, I have a question. Why 3 minutes? Like,
so it's right when you start transferring out of your glycolytic energy source and start going a little bit more into the oxidative. So you're not really going to be increasing any strength or performance, but you're also not going long enough to actually increase endurance.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, man. It's
it goes very wrong very quickly.
Yeah, ridiculous. So make sure to hire good coaches, people.
Exactly.
Wrap right there. Now transition into today's topic a little bit. Taylor, we'll go and start off with you first for this, since you already did talk about how you're kind of breaking up your runs. But a question that we get rather frequently whenever we're designing programs for clients is, one, how often do I exercise? And two, how often do you repeat those exercises? So we'll start with strength training first and then conditioning second. And you can kind of talk about your approach to tailoring programs for your clients as far as how often you want them lifting, how often you want them doing conditioning.
Got it. All right. So strength training. So based on my experience and on various articles that I've read, I found that strength training 3 days out of the week is most beneficial for maximizing strength gains, muscle growth, and all that fun stuff. And when I say strength training, I'm going to use that kind of interchangeably to combine strength as in lifting heavy weight and muscle growth as well. So for me personally, I really like giving my clients and myself even 3 total body strength days. So I'll pick one lift. So let's say it's a bench press kind of day. I'll work in the strength rep range and set range. And then every movement after that is more of like an assistant or like an accessory lift toward either the bench or, down the road for my next strength day. So let's say Monday was bench day, international chest day, all my bodybuilders out there.
Bench and bicep curls, man. That's all you need.
For real, man, right? Bicep curls all day, every day. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. But so yes, back on track. So let's say a Wednesday would be like a squat emphasis day. Then that Monday I would execute my bench day, and then I'll do an accessory lift to get me ready for that squat lift on Wednesday, and then kind of follows that same pattern.
Gotcha. So you're going compound lifting to kind of get the most bang for your buck within your training window. And it sounds like you're trying to take advantage of the super compensation window of that 48 hours, which is why you're recommending like the minimum 3 days a week. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
Gotcha. Perfect.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, as far as it comes down to those accessory muscles too, I mean, you're hitting on a pretty crucial point. While compound lifts obviously are the best bang for your buck, a lot of us, just depending upon our lifestyles, like myself, for example, torn both my hamstrings. And so, yeah, not a fun time. But because of that, I have to go in and I have to do extra hamstring work. Otherwise, going into my deadlifts, it is very, very uncomfortable, and my injury risk is also increased. So, like you said, making sure that you're getting enough recovery, but you're also prepping the individual muscles necessary for each person to go through. It sounds like John's got a nice helicopter coming through.
Yeah, they're going to arrest me right now.
Fantastic, man. Fantastic. So with the strength training, transitioning into your cardio programming now. So you got 3 days strength. Are you doing cardio every single other day of the week, or what does that look like for you?
Yeah. So for me personally, kind of like how we touched base in the beginning of this podcast. So yes, anytime I'm not in the gym, strength training, I'm doing some sort of run or cardio, I should say. So for me right now, it's running 7 miles, 10 miles. And then, I don't recommend this unless you're a seasoned vet in the gym. But what I personally do is I'll wake up early, go on my 7-mile run, take about a 2 to 4 hour break, and I'll actually go to the gym and I'll work on some kind of kettlebell circuit or just some kind of more accessories like body weight training, just so I can kind of just fit everything into my my gym routine as well.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, so you're still saving room and recovery to not necessarily continue down the path of fitness that you've been following the week, but at least having something that you enjoy a little bit more with the kettlebell circuits.
Exactly. Because, I come from a bodybuilding background where I was going 6-day splits, chest tries, back buys. We all know the bro splits, right? We all know them. So for me and just my mentality, how I guess got brought up in the fitness world, is like I need to be doing some kind of, I guess, exercise for at least Monday through Friday kind of thing, Now I'm not obviously not condoning that if you're starting off, But if you have the right coach and the right knowledge, you can tailor it so you can get away with it and still maximize your recovery and your performance as well.
That'll be your tagline. Taylor will hand Taylor your program.
Hey, man, it works for me.
Speaking of hitting individual muscle groups as well, too, John, Mr. former high school bodybuilder, what's your thoughts on going more for like the full body strength days versus those individual like hypertrophy and like muscle isolation days?
Yeah, so two parts to that. So number one is before you start any program, right, you got to look at exercise history for the individual and their skill set. So number one is this person, did this person just work out like a month ago, and are they pretty savvy with their movement patterns? So that's the first thing you want to look at. But to kind of answer your question, I mean, the jury is out. So 3 days a week ideally is what you want to hit for strength. The only thing I want to adjust with that is, after the age of 35-ish, and this is best based on what I read and personal experience and working with numerous clients who were older at the time, is at the age of 35, I think that's a good way to scale back weightlifting in terms of like overall volume, because we're not trying to compete. Most of us, I'm not. Yeah. So if 3 days a week of strength training, like just legitimately like weightlifting, is going to be ideal. Preferably like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday split. Having a day in between of full rest. We'll kind of go into what you can do on those rest days. But that's what I write for 99.9% of my clients, and it works really great. I do have an even amount of clients of male and female, so it's good for testosterone just to have the extra day of rest in between. It's just the way to go, and I'll kind of leave it like that. But if, however, like you're very spry and you're like a Taylor and you're like 18 years old, then you can, and I encourage people to go even further, like 4 or 5 days a week. Like your body can tolerate it. I mean, your recovery period, you won't need it as much. I don't mean to say that it's not important, but you won't need it as much. So you can go 4 or 5 days. You just got to be smart with your training. But to go what you're asking.
Essentially, whenever it comes down to any clients, it's just whatever you can recover from.
Exactly. And then for hypertrophy, that's a big one too. Matter of fact, I'll try to send you the link of a recent article that I read last week in terms of can you build muscle in a non-hypertrophy program, right? So we all know there's different phases of programs. So, I'm a big advocate of just training for the strength and just sticking right there with the majority of my clients. And you'll build more muscle density, you'll lose a lot of fat, but you will build muscle tone, right? The hypertrophy realm, is more of like suns out, guns out, chest and tries type of deal. I mean, they're both great programs. It's just a different approach of training. So I would personally lean more towards strength just because most people that I work with are not very strong in general. And we can talk about that later, but I kind of rate them based on their push-ups or pull-ups, their sprinting, and of course their mobility. But most people aren't very strong anyway. So I like to really push out just kind of building strength and just kind of staying in that realm, and you can kind of play around with that. Anyhow, so if you're working out 3 days a week, we definitely encourage condition drills. I'm a big advocate, as we talked about earlier, kettlebell training, condition drills, running. But the cool thing with condition is you don't have to spend too much time doing so. For me, I'm training about 30 minutes core condition. That's the exact same realm of my training program protocol that I recommend my clients is 30 minutes. And I give them very specific things to do, but they don't need that much. But about 5 years ago, I knew this stuff, but I just kind of really understood the benefits of aerobic training and how that benefits into faster recovery when you're lifting weights. So you got to do it. If you're not doing it, you got to do it. I was always afraid that it's going to eat away my muscle. It's not. You're not gonna get skinny. You're not gonna disappear.
As long as you're eating properly. You're eating like crap and doing a bunch of cardio. Yeah, you're gonna get that nice little skinny fat gains.
Exactly. So again, just so to make sure on point. So if you're 35 and up, 3 days a week of weightlifting, 2 days of condition. When you're doing conditioning, 30 minutes, you can do anything you want, from boogie boarding to running to jump rope to hiking to counting your steps. I'm all for it. It all counts. If you're very spry, then push it, man. 4 to 5. I'm all for it. I did it, and I swear, dude, I'll have like 4 hours of sleep, and I'll wake up and I'll blast my chest and tries, and I'm still growing. But it's just really being cognizant of your exercise history and your exercise skill, and then kind of going from there. So
yeah, so that 4 hours of sleep, one of my favorite quotes of all time from Stan Efferding, and again, I'm gonna clean this up just a little bit, so we don't have to deal with that crap. But basically, said if you wake up after sleeping 4 hours to go lift weights, you're stepping over. Well, I'm just gonna have to cut it out. Actually, there's some language. yeah.
I was really looking forward to
it. Oh man.
I'm gonna play it safe for the first one. Maybe later, but we'll try not to get too demonetized right at the start of this channel. But it sounds like both of you are programming very smartly. Going off of that the 48-hour super compensation window, and just really making sure that your clients are recovering properly from the exercise. With that, cardiovascular health is the thing that drives your recovery. So a lot of times, if you're not including that cardiovascular training, then it's going to take you significantly longer to recover from your weightlifting. So
exactly.
If you're one of those guys who goes in and you just blast chest and you're hurting for 3 days, your cardiovascular health is most likely garbage, or you're overtraining on the weight. So make sure to get a healthy mixture of both. Now with that, we are going to go ahead and transition into nice little questions I got submitted here. We got some real gems today.
All right.
So, a little bit more of an inside one with a particular individual that we've all seen frequent the gym. So the question they submitted is, can you build muscle with liquid broccoli?
Yikes. So liquid broccoli, right? So I guess like anything, right? So you can get anything liquid. So veggie powder, you can, nowadays they have obviously plant-based protein powders that's been around for the past decade or so, if not longer. But yeah, you can, but the biggest question is just looking at your overall dose, right? So you can't just say, can I gain muscle drinking liquid broccoli? Well, if you have the right total grams of carbs, of course you can. If you're going to consume 100 grams of liquid broccoli, then good luck. Let me know how the stools look after. But, it's just one of those things where, yeah, exactly. I mean, you can build muscle. It's just total volume of food, right? Carbs and the ratios of the rest of the macros. But yeah, you can. But at the end of the day, it's just,
but
I don't
should
think
you?
Yeah, exactly. There's not enough density of carbs in there, so probably not. So that's what I'm going to say no.
Not only that, but the total GI distress that much broccoli would cause would just be inhumane, man. You'd be hurting for days after. You're looking 3 pounds of broccoli that you're juicing right there.
Dude, I think you might just turn green after a while, for real.
Oh. I think that is a very, very important, talking about dosages. That's something that's crucial that a lot of people don't understand in the fitness world. You get so many good marketers out there. They're like, oh, broccoli, the miracle food. It's got antioxidants. It's got vitamins. It's got sulforaphane. But if you look at sulforaphane, for example, are you guys familiar with myostatin inhibitors?
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, you take a myostatin inhibitor and it blocks the myostatin in your body, which signals your genetic limit for muscle that you can grow, right? So for a lot of people that take anabolic steroids, you get to a certain point and your body's just like, hey, we're capped out. You can't have any more muscle. Take a myostatin inhibitor. You can eliminate that cap and continue to grow muscle. Now, broccoli does have a compound called sulforaphane, which does do that in minor degrees.
Exactly.
However, if you look at the dosages required of sulforaphane to get that benefit, again, we're looking 5 pounds of broccoli a day.
Exactly.
So you get a fitness marketer who's saying, eat broccoli every day so you can inhibit your myostatin. You're never going to physically eat enough broccoli in order to get that benefit. It's impossible.
So I want to kind of jump in. Hopefully I don't butcher this similarity, but it's kind of like where people say wine's healthy for you. It's very heart healthy. I'm like, bro, you're cherry picking the science. You're cherry picking an ingredient in booze, essentially, right? I can say the same thing. So what I like to tell my clients is, if I have a multivitamin and it's covered in marshmallow, you can look at it 2 ways. Number one is junk, or there's vitamins in there. So you have to look at the overall quality of what you're consuming. So kind of what you're saying, Wilbur, is, for broccoli, it has a component that can help with muscle growth, but we're talking about, like, you would have to consume an ungodly amount of broccoli to actually get that to release. So, yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of that resveratrol study, because I am familiar with that one.
Yes, dude.
Take that one without drink wine, and you can replace the benefits of exercise. So for that particular one, let's see, typical resveratrol concentrations, because resveratrol is the antioxidant that provides that benefit. Red wine typically has, let's see, it's 0.36 milligrams a liter of resveratrol. In order to get minimum effective dosages of resveratrols in studies have been 250 milligrams of resveratrol versus the 0.36 that you get from a glass of wine.
There you go. There you go.
We just do some quick math there. You would have to drink 695 glasses of wine.
So what you're saying is that people advertising this a study that shows the benefits of wine and heart health, they're encouraging you to become an alcoholic. There you go.
Exactly. Exactly. So if you want to drink 695 glasses of wine, be my guest.
Okay. Well, sorry, man. One last thing. So on the topic of booze, real quick, is again, when a client comes to me and says, "Hey, should I drink a Corona Light or Corona?" Like, at this point, it's still booze. Just stick with the Corona. I mean, don't try to say, "Well, it's lighter." Dude, you're gonna probably drink more Corona Lights anyway. So mathematically, you'll probably consume more total calories by drinking lights versus a traditional, Anyhow.
And my thing too is, like, if you're gonna go out and you're gonna drink, or you're gonna have a cheeseburger, or you're gonna have pizza, just get the good tasting stuff, man.
Exactly.
Pizza crap. Nobody actually likes that. Oh, it's just depressing.
Let me get a pizza with no dough, extra pepperoni, please.
So bad. All right, moving forward. We got another diet question. Let's see.
Yes.
If, Taylor, you can start us off with this. Can I still be fit if cheeseburgers are my main food group?
Ooh.
Oh boy. Well, I think it just it kind of just goes back full circle to what John was saying, but honestly, it just depends, man. I mean, if exercise is there, cardio is there, sure, why not? Go ham.
Yep.
But is it ideal? Probably not. No, 100% not ideal. 100% not ideal. I mean, you can for sure, enjoy yourself. And I think everyone should enjoy a nice cheeseburger from time to time. But if you're looking to be overall healthy, definitely.
I think we should have a week challenge where we design a breakfast hamburger, a lunch hamburger, and a dinner hamburger, and just make that fit our calories and macros for the week, and just have that be our whole diet for the week.
There you go.
Just to see.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure you can make, if we're talking homemade hamburgers / cheeseburgers, I'm sure you can make it work. But I'm assuming this question is talking about like In-N-Out, Carl's Jr., and that's where I'm like, all right, well, maybe, but there's some other factors we got to consider.
100%, yeah. So it's like anytime with any food group, there's not bad foods and good foods, right? Like food is food. You can't assign something to it just because carbs are evil. That's ridiculous. So anytime you're taking considerations of a certain food group into your diet, you have to think timing for one, right?
Yep.
If you're going to have a huge gut bomb of a meal, having it right before bed is not going to be a good idea because it's going to interfere with the quality of sleep. If you're going to have a gut bomb of a meal, have it at lunch, give yourself some time to, walk around, digest it, and get it processing, right? And then any foods that you do enjoy, if you are a huge cheeseburger fan, there are healthy ways of consuming cheeseburgers, right? You don't have to go to McDonald's and get a McDouble every time. You can get some nice grass-fed beef, throw some vegetables on there. So it is doable.
Yep.
John, any additional thoughts you would like to add into there?
Yeah, man. I agree, man. I talk to my wife all the time. She's like, "Isn't that bad? Like, there's no, good or bad foods. Like, there's healthier and healthier, foods. But, drinking motor oil is bad. Having a cheeseburger is hopefully not doing that. Right, but for the purposes of labeling food as bad, I don't think having a cheeseburger is bad. But again, we all know intuitively that it's the big picture of consuming nutrition is, if you're consuming a cheeseburger once a week and you're having decreased body fat or whatnot, then it's safe to say that it's probably not a good idea for you. There is a time and place. for a cheeseburger, I would love to talk about that in a later episode, because you can make it work. But to be honest, to encourage
all this cheeseburger talk, I'm going grocery shopping after
Yeah.
this. I'm gonna load up, man. We're grilling today.
There's what's his name? Ryan Fisher. He's a big CrossFitter. I'm not condoning CrossFit, but he says some really good stuff. And he talks about this. His quote that I steal is, he says, "You got to earn your carbs," and I absolutely love that, because that can apply with anyone, dude. Whether you're an athlete, a gym rat, a little kid, a grandma, you have to earn your carbs. And if you're eating a cheeseburger, you have to ask yourself, did I earn this cheeseburger? And the answer is no. Then it's probably not the right time for you. But if you've been kicking ass, you've been on a 21-day streak of, watching your food, and you're being consistent with exercise, and you earned your carbs. So that's why I love that quote, and it literally fits with a lot of different variables. So
sounds like we're gonna have to have a full nutrition episode coming up pretty soon.
Yeah.
Cheeseburgers only. We'll do our week challenge of consuming only cheeseburgers, and then we'll go from there. All right. So final question that we're gonna close out on now. In the context of this question, it was submitted as a joke, but I think it actually is something that can be flipped to be a little bit more crucial. So the question itself is, what is fitness, right? It was sent in. I know the person who sent it, it was submitted as a joke. However,
make sure to tag them.
Yeah. We'll go pull them up. However, I think this is something crucial to cover with all of your clients. Is a lot of times coming in, people say that I want to get fit. Okay, what does get fit mean to you?
Yeah.
So if each of you want to spend 2-3 minutes, kind of dive into what your philosophy on that is, and then we'll go and close out from there.
Go for it, Taylor. You're first, buddy.
All right, man. Jesus,
no pressure.
Now we're getting all philosophical and whatnot. In my personal opinion, there's really no right or wrong way to go about answering this question. I think what it comes down to is just breaking down what you want to get out of your time in the gym, or how you want to live your fit life, or your healthy lifestyle, A lot of things when I'm talking to my clients for the first time, and then we kind of, after getting to know each other a little bit, I just say, hey, like, what are you trying to get out of this? And they say, oh, I want my guns to hug my sleeves. I'm like, all right, so great goal. What does that mean for you? And then, from there, the conversation kind of goes. But yeah, man, I think it's just about finding where you want to be fitness-wise, and then just breaking down that even further, and then kind of connecting your why to why you want to be that way, like why you want those guns to hug your sleeve.
Exactly.
And then just build from there.
Yeah, psychology plays such a huge role in our individual perception of fitness, right? I think everyone can kind of agree that the generalized 2020 image of fitness is the shredded person with the six-pack abs, all that type of stuff. When in reality, attaining that body is typically not done through healthy measures. You're typically looking at anabolic steroids, you're looking at all sorts of extreme caloric restrictions. It is very, very difficult to sustain that, which draws into what your individual perspective is. And you were 100% correct on connecting that to the why, right? So if someone wants to attain that six-pack look, like, okay, why the six-pack? Like, are they trying to impress someone? Are they trying to improve their self-confidence? And I think that's a lot more relatable.
100%, man. And I think too, as our jobs as fitness coaches, I think it's always, in the most respectful way possible. You gotta be realistic for your clients, Like if we have 57-year-old grandpa who wants six-pack abs and, wants to look like Steve Cook, we got to sit down with him and say, hey, man, like, I admire your goal and aspirations.
HGH, testosterone, bro. We got them ready. It's doable now.
Exactly. Doable, but not probably in the most healthiest way, right? But
what are you willing to sacrifice?
Exactly.
Jeez.
Exactly.
John, any additional thoughts you'd like to add in there?
Yeah, man. addressing the way I answer this question literally almost every year when I'm doing consultations with my clients. But as of now, it might change. I don't know, maybe next week. There's like kind of 5 things I look at because again, it's very subjective, but there are some dots you can kind of connect. So the first is like addressing to your potential client is, hey, so, you know, your physical, really outlining, you know, is your physical, is it healthy? So the last time you got your physical or your blood labs, everything come out pretty clear, because that, you want to start with it holistically, right? So you can't say I'm super fit, but you're suffering from hypertension or RBS and you have all types of things. It's just not going to work. So I like to kind of start with that and kind of educating my potential client, like, okay, you know, are you healthy? Great. So if that's the case, then we can move on to the next segment. From there, I like to really use body fat as a marker. And I, by no means or any means, trying to say that you're supposed to be lean at all times, but there is a correlation with higher levels of body fat, not BMI, but body fat, more specific, and hypertension and disease. So I like to kind of throw that into the mix to kind of help my clients really understand what fitness should really entail. So levels of body fat, and make no mistake, I always tell this to my clients is like, hey, just because you're here, we don't have to go so low. We can be fit just right here too. So we'll get into that in just a second. But so body fat, understanding where you're at and where you rank in terms of the total population. The third is what we mentioned earlier, strength. You got to be relatively strong. I know that's subjective, but if you're relatively strong, you could do a few push-ups. If you can run a mile in under 9 minutes, if you can do a few pull-ups, you're relatively strong. You're better than the average. So then you're, again, on track for becoming a fitter person. The number 4 will be endurance. Do you have good cardiovascular endurance? I mean, can you walk a mile and not be winded? Can you go swimming and not be winded?
Certainly hope so,
I'm serious, like just a different component of fitness. And the last thing will just be is total happiness. You know, like you're very seldomly will you find someone who's super healthy, freak, and in shape, and they're like miserable, right? So there's a lot of correlation between fitness and happiness too, and overall health. So, you know, really kind of having those 5 things and kind of circling around. And that's my current interpretation. It might change of what fitness is about. And I like to kind of display that to my potential clients. Say, hey, let's check this out. This is how we define fitness. And they're like, that's right. That's great. Because they might start with, I want to lose 20 pounds. And after kind of my spiel and getting them to kind of jump in and understand, they might say, actually, I want to lose 10 pounds. I don't want to lose 20. I want to lose 10. Like bingo, that's fitness. So
yeah, exactly, man. And I think, you know, it's extremely important to balance the actual statistics with what they personally want as well too, you know, because some people, like you said, you do want them to have a high happiness meter. But if someone gets a ton of joy from sitting around on the couch eating cheeseburgers and watching TV, okay, they get a ton of mental joy, but physical joy could be in the dumps. So you have to find that balance in between, where if it's like, okay, you're mentally happy, but your liver's failing, you should probably do something about it. But it sounds like we've got several different topics that we can branch off it into. It's like, you know, goal setting, diving a little bit more into what is fitness, and then getting some specific nutrition topics. So I'll be throwing up questionnaires for people through social media. You know, have you guys do the same. So anybody viewing this video can kind of submit any specific questions they have regarding nutrition and goal setting. And we'll look to cover both of those topics a little bit more in depth over the next several weeks.
Perfect.
Super dope.
Outside of that, that concludes our second week of the Restorative Movement Training Podcast. We'll see y'all next Sunday.
Boom.